Dr. Jim Fiorica. I'm the Chief Medical Officer here at Sarasota Memorial Hospital. I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for this meeting. As you know, Sarasota Memorial has tried to be in the forefront for our COVID treatments ever since the first case in Sarasota County was identified on March 1st. And since then, we've had several leadership meetings. We've developed a task force, a COVID task force, and we're always looking for newer and better ways to treat our patients and to make sure our staff is safe. And so currently, to date, we've had more than 75 COVID patients test positive. We've had 31 patients that are in the hospital today that are COVID positive. We've discharged more than 44 patients after treatment from our hospital or from the emergency room that were COVID positive. Sadly, we've had 9 patients die of this disease since they were diagnosed as COVID positive and have since deceased. What we're always doing, we're fortunate to have treatments available. We're looking for treatments, and SMH is fortunate enough to have a robust clinical trial program. Since I came here 15 years ago, one of my main focuses, in addition to treating patients, was actually clinical research, bringing new drugs to the community that could possibly help them earlier than what would be readily available. And since then, that program has grown. We've had more than 15 clinical trials in all areas of medicine that are actively accruing, that we try to make things better for our patients and provide new drugs that might be promising for their treatment. And certainly this is where we're here to talk about 2 exciting drug teams that we're joining, or research studies that we're joining for specifically COVID positive patients. And I have with me Dr. Kirk Voelker. Dr. Voelker is a pulmonologist, critical care physician, but he's also the medical director of the clinical research team here at Sarasota Memorial. And also with me, I have Tamela Fonseca, who's the manager of our clinical research team, that can also talk about the specifics and the experience that the research team has. But I did want to leave as an opening line to let Dr. Voelker and Tamela talk a little bit about the 2 projects that we have for our COVID positive patients that we're actually excited to be able to bring to the community, hoping that we can provide some newer treatments for these patients.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Fiorica. Now I'm going to unmute Dr. Voelker, and I am going to pin his video. Dr. Voelker.
Okay, thank you. So it's my pleasure to talk about the 2 trials that we are doing through the clinical research department. It's important to know that we are some of the first centers in the United States that are doing some of these trials. I think for the Remdesivir, it's we're the 43rd, where there are 43 centers open in the United States. And I'm not sure where we are with the other one, the convalescent plasma. But let me tell you about the 2 trials. The first is an antiviral drug that works against the virus itself. It's called Remdesivir. And it is a FDA-approved trial, but it's not our typical research trials that we do that are double-blind. It is because of the emergency, we have access to use this drug in a clinically supervised way. This drug works against the virus. It is only for very sick people who are in the intensive care unit on ventilators, but they can't be too sick in multi-organ failure. So it's a limited use, but it's something of significant potential for these patients. The second trial that we're doing is where we use plasma, a blood product, and antibodies from people who had previously have had COVID and have recovered from it. Their body develops antibodies that we then give to people who are sick in the hospital to see if those antibodies will fight against the COVID virus. So one is a trial of a drug against the virus. The second is a trial where we use antibodies to give to sick patients to try to fight the virus.
Thank you so much, Dr. Voelker. I think now we'll open this up to specific questions. I'm just going to go in alphabetical order how they're listed here on our participants list. And remember, we are limiting it to 2 questions per reporter. And please, at the beginning of your question, say who you're addressing it to so I can make sure that that doctor or person is large on the screen and pinned to the top so you can record that. I am going to start by unmuting Bob Mudge.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. My first time with this too. Can I generically ask a question for everybody? How do you spell remdesivir? I don't think that's in the AP style book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Voelker, do you have the spelling?
Yeah, it is. It's REMDESIVIR.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you can Google it.
Will do. Now, do I correctly understand that the way this is being tried at SMH is you are in fact giving it to patients in order to see what the efficacy and safety of it will be?
Correct.
And in that regard, this is not, of course, a vaccine. This is a treatment. What are you seeing regarding this drug from the other centers that are doing the same sort of trial?
So right now, we're in the data gathering stage. So where we're able to give this drug and then look at effectiveness, look at side effects, look at other things going on. And so nobody knows the answer that you're looking for just yet. And that's why we do clinical trials. Because, there will be patients who get better all of a sudden, and you don't know whether that's the drug or not. So you have to look at several patients.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Al.
All right, now we're gonna go here. Your name on here is CB Laptop 7380. Hello.
Hi, this is Craig Burdick at SNN. I'm just listening in. Samantha Stunner is our reporter.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well then now we're gonna go to Daniela. You there, Daniela?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So my question's for Dr. Voelker. With this antiviral drug, since it is a trial, obviously, how many people have you guys tried this on? Have you been successful? Kind of what's the lowdown of that, or have you not tried it on anybody yet?
Fortunately, we were able to try it on our first patient on Sunday, and we have now tried it on 3 patients.
Okay. So first one Sunday and 3 patients. All right. And so with the plasma, are you guys asking for donations from people? I mean, kind of what's that lowdown? You had mentioned the numbers of 44 patients that were discharged after not having COVID-19 anymore. Are you guys asking from plasma from those patients in particular, or how is that working for you guys?
We will be looking for plasma from anybody who has been exposed to, who has had the COVID virus and has recovered from it. Now, the plasma is going to be our critical factor. Every one patient who gives plasma can treat up to 4 others. So that's a great multiplier. You have potential of saving 4 other people's lives. It is ABO group specific. So there are certain groups that will need more of. There are more rare blood groups.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniela. All right, now we're going to go to David Conway.
Hey, I think this question is probably for Dr. Voelker, but I was curious, I guess, first of all, in lieu of these, treatments that are being studied now, what are the options available to people who are being treated for COVID-19 in like the non-testing realm?
So right now, what we have available to physicians in the community is the drug that you've probably heard about, hydroxychloroquine, which is a malaria drug that is thought to have some possible antiviral activities. This is not approved for the FDA. This is not an FDA-approved drug for COVID-19. It is being used what we call off-label, but with the FDA's permission to use it off-label in these dire circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Got it. All right. And
I think Dr. Fiorica looked like he wanted to add to that, so I'm going to unmute Dr. Fiorica and.
Thank you. Yeah, to ask the question about, I want to get back to the plasma question and the donations. We've actually contacted 3 patients today, and all 3 of them have volunteered or in the queue for evaluation and donation. So the community and these patients that have recovered actually are very grateful. We're grateful for them, and they're happy to help others. So I think that's been a very positive thing. And as we contact more patients once they've recovered, we're hoping to get the same response. So I think that will really help us give us medication for our patients. It's community helping the community, which is wonderful. Regarding the actual drugs, so yes, the hydrochloroquine has been talked about, as off-label use. We've talked about antibiotics, the azithromycin. All of these, they're quite experimental, and they're not used, although a lot of people are using them. These 2 drug studies are very specific that we're talking about now. It's a whole different ballgame. The retroviral treatments are specifically treating the virus. These other agents, such as the antibiotics, are treating the inflammation. They're not actually treating the virus. Same thing with the hydrochloroquine. It's actually not treating the virus. These agents that we're proposing now are actually intended to go right after the virus. So it's a whole different level of research or different treatment protocol.
got it. And then the second question I had was, in terms of getting involved with these trials and then potential future treatment trials, how does the hospital get involved and get authorized to be participating in these potential treatment studies?
Tamela, I think, could answer that.
Hold on 1 second. I will end her video and unmute her. Tamela, you are on.
Hi, I'm Tamela Fonseca, the clinical manager here for research. We get involved in these trials because we have physicians that have a genuine interest in research and bringing innovative therapies to our patients in this community. So we have sponsors that have reached out to us regarding these trials because we know and they know that we conduct high quality trials. We have a robust team of highly trained nurses that know how to do clinical research. They're all certified. Specific to these COVID-19 trials, we have 6 nurses that are working very closely with these patients and the physicians that would like to enroll their patients. To answer your question regarding how we can get patients on the trial as well, we are working very closely, having physician referrals. We've had the community members refer themselves in order to donate plasma. We're also going to be putting on our website how you can get in contact with us so we can link you with the local blood bank so you can make a donation if you are one of those people that have recovered from COVID-19 and possibly could donate for plasma. We are well underway to really stock our shelves in order to provide plasma to our patients. So like Dr. Fiorica said, we have at least 2 or 3 going to the local blood banks today or tomorrow to donate. And like Dr. Voelker said, that's going to really impact at least 12 patients. For everyone, it's 4 patients. We have at least 9 additional people who are getting screened right now with the proper pre-screening that's necessary in order to donate the plasma. And so we are really making headway here in order to provide this to our patients.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, David. Now we are going to allow Jackie to ask some questions. Jackie, are you there? Jackie Keenan? Guess that's not working. So, Jackie, if you hear me and want to message me, I can see if it's something on our end, but I'm going to move on for right now to Kim.
Okay, so I guess this one would be for Dr. Fiorica. Doctor, how does it feel to know that you guys are one of a handful of hospitals, a few dozen across the nation, that are starting to do these trials, and to know that it's happening right here in our backyard?
We want to be in the forefront of finding a treatment. That's what we do. That's why the clinical research team has been set up, is specifically looking for new treatments. Sarasota Memorial wants to be in the forefront and have that ability to help someone. And this is one way we can do that. We can give to the community and help patients. It's a wonderful thing to have that available to us. And we're fortunate to have that. But that's why we've developed a research team to do exactly that.
Dr. Voelker, do you have anything you wanted to add to that? It looked like you did.
No, I'm grateful that our community has something like this, because most community hospitals do not have a research center, especially one as robust as we do.
Thank you very much.
And then I guess just one last question, because you guys have touched on a lot of stuff, but just how hopeful are you that, I mean, it may take some time, that you guys could be part of the solution to finding an cure for this?
Who wants to take that one?
Yeah, I'll take it. In that, look, I just came out of the intensive care unit, specifically the COVID intensive care unit, where these people are very, very sick. And I'm grateful that we have some sort of ammunition to fight this. And I'm hopeful that we will be part of the solution.
All right. Thanks, Kim. Jim, did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
I just wanted to say that, it really is rewarding when you get a response. We don't know where this study is going. We don't know the response rate. We're trying to help learn more about this virus every day. But for example, the remdesivir, you have to be in the ICU intubated on a respirator to qualify for that study. So that's how sick those patients are. So if we can get a patient off a ventilator, it's a wonderful thing.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna move on now to Lauren Powell.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, I'm guessing this would be for Dr. Voelker, but I guess anyone who wants to answer can answer. Are there any side effects to the drug? Someone who is, on this drug, are there side effects?
So mostly the side effects are GI side effects. It can affect the liver enzymes, increasing that. It may have some effect on the kidney function. In a lot of these patients that are so sick on the ventilator, they're going to have kidney problems anyway, so it's hard to sort out sometimes. But there are side effects to just about any medication.
Okay, thank you. And how many hospitals are involved in this trial?
43 right now, and I believe they're going to expand it to 200.
Okay, Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Now we will unmute Leah Fernandez.
Hello. I appreciate you guys doing this. Really awesome that we're kind of taking that next step to hopefully get a treatment. But kind of talk to me, because I know this could be for either doctor. Kind of, is there a timeline you're hoping to have something by? I know it's kind of uncertain right now because you're doing these tests, but you have a timeline in place, and how are you choosing which patients get to the clinical trial?
I'll go ahead and take that one. The remdesivir is specifically for people who are very sick. They're already intubated. Their lungs are failing them. The convalescent plasma, however, can be used at both ends. It can be used before they get that sick, and it can be used when they're too sick to qualify for the remdesivir, when they're on multiple medications, their kidneys are failing and that type of thing. So the convalescent plasma can sort of bookend the remdesivir.
Okay, and then the only other thing, it's kind of unrelated and related. I know I talked to Kim about this, where some employees were going to be furloughed, and if they were needed, they would be brought back. Would that play a factor in this clinical trial of some employees being called back to help with this, especially if more cases pop up?
That's a Dr. Fiorica question.
The answer is yes. We actually have had employees in position actually volunteer to donate. So as I said, I think people want to help others and be able to do that.
All right, thank you. We are going to move on. I believe Marco Villarreal is on the line. If it wait, there we go.
Hi, thank you for doing this. My first question would be, and I think it was touched upon briefly, you talked about how many other hospitals or centers are doing this right now. How many others here in the Tampa Bay area and here in Florida are doing this? Is it just SMH?
Mark, I don't have good data on that. Initially, we were one of the first in the Southeast to be enrolled, as far as I know, but I don't know who else in the Tampa Bay and specifically in Florida.
Okay. And then my second question would be, there's other hospitals here in the area. Obviously, you guys are doing the clinical trials. If someone is at Doctors Memorial Sarasota or at TGH or anywhere else, and they go, hey, we have a patient here that might qualify for this study, or their family says, can we get our person over at SMH because we know this clinical trial is happening there? Can people go to your hospital with this type of a hope, or will you be working with other hospitals to help other patients?
So these are patients who are very sick, and I personally probably would not transfer somebody that's that sick to our hospital just for this drug, because it hasn't proven itself. As far as the convalescent plasma, that might be a different story, and maybe Dr. Fiorica, you can give us some insight on that.
We all, let me just sort of start by saying that we want to help anybody that we can help. If we have medication available, we would be willing to give it to anybody in need of doing it. I do agree with Dr. Voelker, the remdesivir, those patients are intubated and they're quite ill with respiratory failure already. So it's going to be an unstable situation to transfer a lot of those patients here. But it's going to depend on availability. Certainly, if we have plasma that's specific for that patient and we can use it, we don't want it. We want to use it on who we can use it on. We want patients to have it available to them.
With people that are donating plasma, what is it, 28 days every time that you can donate? Can you have repeat people coming to donate their plasma?
I can take that. The problem is the antibodies start to dwindle off after a while. So it's not that one person can continue to be a donor for several cycles, but you can probably give it initially, 14 days after you've had the virus, and then another cycle at least to have adequate titers of those antibodies.
All right, thanks, Marco. Thank you, Dr. Fiorica, and thank you, Dr. Voelker. We're going to go now to Samantha Sonner.
Hello, and I think this has been touched on a little bit already, but you're saying that these patients need to be very sick to get this kind of drug. This isn't something where if you went through the drive-through testing and you tested positive, you can now call your doctor and get this kind of drug, correct?
Correct. You have to be on a breathing machine.
All right, and talk a little bit about what makes Sarasota a good community to put this clinical trial in. Do we have a wide variety of patients on demographic-wise or variation of sick-wise? What makes Sarasota Memorial Hospital a good place for this?
From my perspective, we have an excellent clinical research center that we've developed over the last 2 decades. The amount of effort that went into getting this trial quickly, from everything from Mary Bradley, who spearheaded this, and the IRB, who'd had emergency meetings. People were up at 11 o'clock at night and then back up at 4:30 in the morning working on this to get this. So we have a very well-seasoned clinical research staff. We've proven ourselves with other trials, so we're on the radar of a lot of companies, and we work efficiently and diligently. Jim, do you have anything else to add?
So it has nothing to do with the kinds of patients in the hospital at this point.
Right. Let me just, let me continue on that same theme, and then we'll talk a little bit about patients. So in order to conduct a clinical trial as significant as this, you have to collect the data, and you have to be able to make sure the data is accurate. And that's where the clinical research team comes in. You have the investigational review board that looks at it to make sure it's a proper study. And the second thing you want to make sure is you have the clinical nurses and the clinical research team to be able to record the data. You want to know what kind of side effects these patients are having. You have to collect that data and send it to your sponsors, because you need accurate data, because when this is all said and done, we want to know exactly what is the risk to the kidneys, what is the risk to the organs in the body, what do we have to watch out for. And that's why you do these research studies before these drugs are available. And that's where I think Tamela and her team has done an excellent job. Dr. Voelker and Tamela have really pulled together some really dedicated people that really track these numbers and make sure that we have all that data that we can report to the sponsors.
Oh, I think Tamela wants to add as well. 1 second. Go ahead, Tamela.
Yes, I'd really like to add to that. So in addition to having, expert nurses that know how to do research, you have research nurses that have been here 10, 15, 20 years that have done this for a long period of time. To be able to open these kind of trials that are emergent and time sensitive and be able to do it in, I'm going to say, record-breaking time frame, that's not something that you're going to find everywhere. So Sarasota Memorial is unique in the fact that you have that kind of expertise, not just in the research center, but in all of the departments and all of the areas that intersects with. So pharmacy, local blood bank, lab, the IRB that Dr. Fiorica just mentioned, bedside staff, having intensivists, having people that are dedicated and interested in doing research, having them already ready and familiar with the processes that goes in place to do research that we do already for heart failure, stroke, oncology, and being able to do that at the local level. It's just what we do already. So being able to do this in a crisis situation, it just goes along with what we've always done, and just something that's necessary for our hospital to be able to meet the demands of our community.
Thank you. All righty. Last but not least, Wendy Lane. If it will let me unmute you, maybe.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So my first question is, why did SMH decide with these two clinical trials as opposed to the other trials that are out there?
I can try that.
Okay. Dr. Fiorica, go ahead.
So we're looking for drugs that have activity. We want something that's cutting edge that we're hoping will be available to the general population very soon. So for example, remdesivir has been around with the SARS work. They've been looking at this product in the past. It's a drug that has promise. It's very specific, and it can impact patients today as opposed to waiting. So we want to pick drugs that have potential for the future. So they're at the edge. They're early. They're promising. What the results play out, that's why you do a clinical research trial. We don't know the true result, but that's why you have to do the clinical research. But we try to pick things that are promising and aren't here for the first time in the early experimental stages.
And one more question, how long before there are any kind of results that could be seen?
That's a tough question. And because normally what I would tell you is with any other clinical research study that we do, from the time a drug is made to the time it becomes FDA approved can be anywhere from 5 years. This particular study is a whole different level because everything's in what normally would take 2 to 3 months to open a study. We've sort of worked tirelessly there, Tamela's team, and has done that in less than a week with all the paperwork and all the process. So there are people around the country looking at these drugs and these studies. They're trying to open studies around the country to get the thousands of patients. And I don't have the number, maybe Dr. Voelker has a number. I want to say there were over 3,000 patients that they're looking for the first study. And we're at number 3 here in Sarasota. So it really takes time to get those patients on trial, but it's going to be a fast timeline because they're trying to open up around the country to get that answer.
Dr. Voelker, did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, no, they're actually going to be increasing it exponentially, the amount of patients that they're going to be able to bring the drug to. I think it's 15,000 with the newest revision. We've given it to 3, but we're poised. We can give it to 15 initially, and then we can apply for another round of 15.
Let me come up.
You wanted to say something else?
Yeah, I wanted to come back. You asked me about which drugs or why we picked these 2 studies. We're actually looking at a lot of studies all the time. There's actually one other one we're in the background that we're trying to find out. So we're constantly looking for new drugs that are promising. These are the first 2 that seem to be able to come to fruition right now. Hopefully we'll be able to, if you ask me the same question in a couple of weeks, hopefully we'll have another agent available as well.
And Wendy, did you say that Gabby was with you as well?
Yes, she is. She's
Hi.
right here.
Your turn.
Okay. So in terms of the plasma, there are a lot of articles, a lot of people out there that say they may believe they've had it, even before people even knew what the coronavirus was. For those folks that are watching this, do they qualify for possibly giving plasma? Or are you guys just really focusing on the people who have already been diagnosed and have been cured from COVID-19 at this point?
Who wants to take that one?
I'll go ahead and take it.
Okay.
Yes, there are probably many people out in the community that have been exposed to COVID. They've recovered from it, and they may want to give plasma. First, we have to test them to make sure that they do not still have it. If they are negative, then we send them to the blood bank, and they do a test to see whether or not they have antibodies for it, therefore have been exposed to it in the past. And if they have antibodies for it, then they can donate their plasma.
So, I mean, but that kind of takes, you know, a lot longer, a lot more tests, and this is just a follow-up. So are you guys really just trying to get the folks, even the ones who have left your hospital who have recovered from this, you know, to come back and to give that blood?
I think Tamela wants to say something.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Tamela.
Right. So we don't want to turn anybody away, but at this point, we do need to prioritize. So we are focusing on people that were tested positive that we know already. We're reaching out to them and having them come in right away. And then as we go down and we need some additional plasma supplies, then we will look at some alternative methods that Dr. Voelker just described. But for now, we need to go with what we know, the people that were positive. We have a process in place to know them if they are negative, and then to have them donate our plasma with the local blood bank.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So my last question is, you know, statistically, where do you guys think you land right now in the area with how many people have been, you know, testing positive and the people who have already been tested and cured? You know, where do you guys think you are in the curve? Have you guys peaked yet? Where are you guys?
Dr. Fiorica, you want to take that one?
Yeah, we're not sure right now. You know, we were expecting to peak sometime next week or the end of next week. You know, this week has been a relatively good week, I guess you might say. So I'm hoping that our curve is flattening out. I'm optimistic that that may be the case, but we're not really expected to peak for another full week. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
Thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, I don't think I missed anyone. If I did, please send me a message.
Craig Burdick at SNN. I said I was just watching before, but I'd like to offer just a comment, if I might.
Sure.
Since we started covering this back the first week of March, I want to say that SMH has just set an outstanding example for transparency and getting out in front of the story. As we all know, the story had its origins here in Sarasota in Florida, and it did not go well the first couple of days. But you guys truly are doing outstanding work, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that comment. On that note, I think we're going to end our first. Oh, Dr. Voelker wants to say something. I wouldn't want to skip that.
Thank you so much. I really also want to acknowledge the contribution of the Sarasota Memorial Healthcare Foundation in helping us fund some of this research. They are helping us with data collection. They're helping us provide nursing staff time that is essential for this type of research. So I don't want to let it go unnoticed how much of contribution they're making. Jim, do you have more to add on that?
No, I want to echo that. I really, there's this community is really pulled together to help. We're here because the community has helped us become a better hospital, and we want to thank everyone here for doing that. If you want to keep up to date on this, again, I always encourage people to go to the www.smh.com website, where we'll keep posting. We want to get the information out. We want to be as transparent as possible and let the community know what we're doing.